One day in early spring, in my peaceful village, suddenly appeared a luxury car. It parked in front of the brick house at the end of the village. It was the house of the best magician in my village at that time. Inside the house, the magician was focusing on burning incense on the altar, preparing to go to work. Below was a middle-aged, rich-looking man sitting nervously on the ground. After burning the incense, the magician turned to the man and asked why he had come here. When the man finished listening, he began to recount in a gentle voice. The man said that lately he had been having a very scary nightmare that kept repeating for many nights, making it impossible for him to get a good night's sleep. His face was also from there, was an intense burning pain, hot as if someone was on fire in the middle of the night. His whole body was always in a state of fatigue, heavy, as if someone was pressing on him. As soon as he closed his eyes to fall asleep, he saw that he was being attacked by a ragged man who looked like a beggar, rushing to attack him with an extremely aggressive attitude. The man kept grabbing his face, shouting hateful screams that made him extremely scared. In particular, he was always haunted by his horror face every time the man put his face on him. It was a face that was disfigured, with only crimson flesh, because there was no human skin. The man looked up at him with his bloodshot red eyes, his mouth moving as if he wanted to say something. Then the strange man raised his hand tightly to the rich man's face, a feeling of pain and terror now overwhelming him. Then the strange man used strong force to tear off the skin of the rich man's face, making his face look like the ghost in front of him. Because of that terrible nightmare, this rich man had been haunted for many days, to the point of not daring to sleep at night, making his health gradually weaker. He wanted to find a way to end this dream as quick as possible, so he traveled a long way from the city to come here, asking this famous magician to help. After listening to the story, the magician's face suddenly changed. He looked seriously at the man in front of him. The magician seemed to sense that the man was hiding something terrible. So, the magician went to the altar, took 3 incense sticks, recited the mantra while holding the incense, and walked around the man to find his past. The man then began to dream. His mind also gradually recalled the things that happened before. Unexpectedly, it was a barbaric story full of horror. The man's face showed his remorse as he recalled the past events. The magician stood in front of the man and looked at him sternly. His feeling was indescribable, as if the magician had known the beginning and the end of the story. Many years ago, this man knew a colleague in the company. The two were not very close, but to promote, he invited his colleague to have a meal. While drunk, the two disagreed because of disagreements. The man was angry, grabbed the bottle of wine, placed it on the table, rushed to beat the colleague. With one hand, the man grabbed his colleague by the neck. With the other, he raised his hand and slammed the bottle of wine on the head of his colleague. The sound of a bottle breaking was heard, and blood was also splattered. His colleague fell to the ground dead on the spot. The death of his colleague seemed to wake him up and realize he had just made a terrible mistake. The man was so scared he decided to leave his colleague's body lying there and then ran out alone as fast as he could. He returned to his own home, packed up his things, and began to flee elsewhere. After a while, he became a man wandering the market corners. During the day, he asked for money from passerby. At night, he found a temporary corner to sleep in, and constantly recalling the past time in his mind. Until one day, he went to find another wanderer on the street and took the initiative to get to know him. His purpose was to be able to return to a happy life without being wanted. This wanderer was unaware of the man's plans. He happily continued talking and drinking with the man until the middle of the night. The man purposefully made up enough stories to distract the wanderer so that he was so drunk that he was no longer conscious. After that, he waited when this vagrant was not alert. The man grabbed the bottle of wine that was placed on the table, looked at the wanderer, and prepared to take action. The wanderer was now too drunk to know anything, lying against the wall behind him to sleep. The man took the opportunity and slowly walked in front of the wanderer. He killed the wanderer and then broke his face so that no one could identify the wanderer. He decided to live with this man's identity. After taking action, he remained to search all over the wanderer's body, took all the money of the victim and identification documents to avoid finding the identity of the corpse, and blatantly started living a new life. He used his savings and the money he had stolen from the wanderer to go to a small plastic surgery clinic and had a face surgery similar to the one in the papers. He had to stay in the hospital for a long time to recover. Fortunately, the surgery was successful, and he was finally able to remove the bandages to see his new face. He happily looked at himself in the mirror, looked closely at every 5 senses on his new face, and breathed a sigh of relief when he escaped the police's pursuit. After he was done, he left and rented a small house to live in. He decided to live with his new face, work, and start a family like nothing ever happened. Meanwhile, the victims who the man killed were all found by the police and became a case that shook the country. He applied to re-enter the old company with a new name, and then he got promoted higher and higher. He became a rich man, got married, and enjoyed the high life. But since then, this nightmare had appeared in his life. After telling his story, the man expressed deep regret for the atrocities he had done before. He repeatedly begged the magician to help him, fearing that the wanderer's spirit would come and retrieve his face. The man's cruelty made the magician unable to hold back. The magician directly slapped the man's face with an angry slap as if to vent his anger on behalf of the people he killed. But the man's stupidity made him no longer rational. He thought that as long as the magician hit him, everything would be erased with no pity in his heart for the dead. Seeing this, the magician smiled and asked the man's address under the pretext of performing an exorcism. After that, this magician told him to leave, promising to help him sleep well. As soon as he left, the magician took out his phone and called the police station, telling the man's story and turning over the old murder case. The man was arrested after many years of hiding. He must be punished for the crimes he committed.